Hello everyone, and welcome back to our Let's Play of Pharaoh. Today we'll be playing the third mission in the Archaic campaign. I'm just going to jump in and have a look at our mission objectives and then get stuck into the mission. So we are playing the mission of Timna, an expedition to Sinai. Our objectives are a population of 2,000, prosperity rating of 15, and a kingdom rating of 70. Just having a read through some of this text, which I won't go through, it does mention that we will be getting quite a few demands from Pharaoh for money, copper, gemstones, and weapons. We also now have access to the pavilion and the dance school, which is the third tier of entertainment. And given that we're going to be having these requests come in, we're going to have to set up these industries quite early. So that is something to be aware of. Having a look at the map here, we have some mineral deposits over here and here. So I'm not sure if you guys can see, but these sort of yellow gold-looking stones indicate mineral deposits. We have a big mineral deposit over here, so I think this is going to be our main mining area. A small oasis over here, and then this is our main and only food source. So, in this mission, we actually, for the first time, have no farming. So all that we have are our hunting lodges. And given that we have to support a population of 2,000, we are going to have to use quite a few of those. We can actually import some food, but that was going to be relatively expensive, so it's not something that we're going to be able to do in the short term. We jump into the world map. This is our city of Timna over here, with a couple of greyed out cities over here in the lower Egypt or the Delta area that we are not able to trade with yet. They may unlock later in the mission. There's 3 cities down in Upper Egypt that we are going to currently be able to trade with. We have Thinis, which buys copper and sells us beer that we are going to need. We have Nut, which sells game meat, and that's all, so we're probably never going to trade with them. And we have Nechen, which buys papyrus and sells a range of goods. So, just looking at that, the main resource that we're going to be lacking is papyrus. We have no way to currently make it ourselves, and we are currently unable to buy it. So that is going to impact our housing development. We'll be importing beer, we can produce our own pottery, and food should be okay in the short term. So what I think our plan is going to be, we're going to set up this area as our main mining area. We're going to set up our gold mines first, and then our copper mines and our weapon production, get our forts up and running. This is going to be our main population area, given that this is our food supply. So I'm thinking we're going to set up our first housing block here, our food supply and granaries down here, and then have the option of setting up our second housing block over here if we need it, which we probably will. So we're going to be using the same housing block design as we used last time, and that's probably not going to be quite enough to get us to the 2,000 mark. We're also going to set up some gemstone mines over here in this area, and we are not going to be setting up any great amount of slums in this game, given that that can impact in desire for immigrants to move into the city and things like that. So we're just going to use the trick of having sort of a few houses near our industrial areas to give them the access to our population and our workers. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to jump into the game and start setting up our first housing block. So as I mentioned, we're going to have our first housing block here, and just use the same design as last time. That should be fine. We are going to have our food production and granaries down here. So what we're actually going to do is we'll set up our housing first to get our immigrants start coming in. We're going to go like this and have another gap there. So I'm not going to go with the sort of fragmented housing placement like we did in the last mission, only because it didn't really seem to have any great benefit. So I'm thinking that I perhaps did something wrong. So if you guys have any sort of tips and tricks about how to have our housing develop into 2x2 a little better, I'm definitely all ears. So we're going to put down our water supply here, and we're going to put down a roadblock next to it. I think we're going to set up our entertainment areas here, have our pavilion over here, so we might actually set that up now. It's always a good thing to set up quite early if you can. So we're going to put down a pavilion, we're going to have to access another road down here, which is fine. So we're going to put down our pavilion right there. We are going to put a roadblock next to it to ensure our services don't move out into that area. We're going to use this road and have our granaries and our hunting lodges down in this area. So we might actually set those up and get our food going quite early. So I think what we're going to do is actually put this right along here, have a couple of granaries right here and here, and then we're going to set up 4 hunting lodges. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I think 4 should be plenty to start with. We can always expand that if we need to. This food supply will actually never run out, no matter how sort of fast we hunt it. So that is something for you guys who are starting out in this mission to be aware of, so don't sort of worry about that. So we should be fine for food in the short term. We're going to set up our firehouse, architect's post, police station, and an apothecary as usual. So I'll put that there. Put down some gardens to start with, make sure there's no desirability issues. So there and up here. Just having a look at our temple, or the overseer of the temples, we only have one god in this mission, and that is Seth, who is our patron god, and he is the god of destruction. So given that we'll be playing the military game for the first time in this mission, that is not really surprising, so we definitely want to keep him happy. So we're going to put down a temple to Seth right there, our bazaar here, our physician next to it, and this spot will be for a tax collector and a few shrines. So what we're going to do, our food production should be set up quite soon. We're going to run this road up here, so our businesses or industry down here will have access to our workers by coming up this road, and we should be doing quite well. So I'm actually going to set up a few entertainment businesses or industries over here. So we're going to put down a juggler school right there, and a conservatory here. So they'll also have access to our workers, our population, by coming up this road. And we're also going to set down a firehouse and architect's post there. And we've got some down there, so that's good. And we're doing quite well for now. So I think we're going to come up here, set up our gold mines to start with. So we're going to set up our gold mines here, 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 and here. The thing about gold mines is that they have to transport their gold to a village palace before it can be converted into Devon, which is the currency. Given that a village palace has to sit on grassed area because it needs access to water, this is the closest place that we can put it. So we're actually going to put it there, run a road from there up to our gold mines, and what we're going to do is just have a few little houses here, and also I think here will be good. And that should be good for now. So we're going to put down a firehouse there, and an architect's post there and there. Also, we're going to put down police stations in this area, so there and there. So given that we'll be mining gold, and we've also got a village palace, we don't want either of these things to be robbed, and that should be fine. So we're not looking for these houses to develop there, so just like I mentioned before, just give these areas access to our workers. So everything's going quite well. We're going to bump up the speed to 90 for now, just to get things going. Start putting out some plazas, make sure everything's sort of going quite well. This and this. So we've got our bazaar set up, starting to get some food in, so we should be getting these houses to start to develop a little bit. So I think it's probably a good time now to actually set up our, so we've run out of money, but we'll get our benefactor donations, so that's fine. Another 3,000 Devon. So I think what we're actually going to do is set up some pottery industry down here. So it'll be close to our first one, but it won't be too far away from our second housing block as well, if we need it. Although we could put it over here. And we've got a fire in the city, which is here, so that's a bit of a worry, given that we've had our firepower. Hasn't got enough access to workers though, which is probably the problem there. So, a bit of a problem, or a bit of an error on my part. Going to lose at least a couple of hunting lodges. Going to lose 3 hunting lodges, which is not the end of the world, but it is a bit of a problem, I guess, expanding quite quickly, is because you don't have enough workers, your areas don't get set up quick enough, which means that things like that can arise. Not too much of a loss though, so we'll deal with that and move on. So some of our houses getting set up here. Thinking we might actually set up our pottery industry over here. Have some storage yards here, so it's going to be nice and central to our 2 housing blocks that we are likely going to have to set up. So we're going to 2 clay pits, and then we're going to set up 4 potteries. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'm going to run a row between them, and so we've had our first request for copper. So we're going to set up this really quickly, and then we're going to jump over and put down our copper mines. So I'm going to have this up like this. Fix the road and put down another firehouse and architect's post, so we don't run into the same problem that we had before. I'm going to put down a storage yard. I think probably here is a good spot. And what we're going to do with this one is have half pottery and half beer. So we're going to have to import some beer quite soon. So what we're going to do over here, given that we've had that request, we're going to put down our copper mines. So we have 1 there, 1 there, and 1 there. So we have 3 all up, which should be plenty for now. We're going to set up a storage yard here. We're going to come in here and set this to have 3/4 copper and 1/4 weapons. So we haven't got our weapon production going yet, but we will do it quite soon. Unemployment at 0, but it looks like these areas are getting up and running, so that is really good. So everything's going quite well. Hopefully these aren't too far away from our businesses, but they may be a little bit. May have to just put down a couple of houses to get that up and running, but I think they should sort of have access to them in time. So you can actually do that. So got desirability issue there, so we're just going to throw down some gardens next to it, just over here. Should fix those. Those houses will upgrade, which is good. Continue putting down some plazas over here, and that will help our desirability in this area. So everything's going along quite well for now. I've got some food. We'll have to have some pottery industry set up. I haven't got access to workers yet. So what I may do is just put down a single house there. So like I said, it definitely is sort of an exploit, but it is just makes things a little bit easier, given the way that the housing mechanics work, and the fact that sort of once you get up and you're wanting to build any significant amount of population, you really have to use housing blocks. And to use housing blocks, you have to use roadblocks and sort of block them off. So given they have to do that, I don't have a problem with doing that too much. We've got another fire, because our fire post obviously took a little while to set up. So that's something I'm definitely going to have to, like I mentioned, I am definitely rusty in this game. I'm going to have to be aware of next time, and hopefully probably set up a little bit better. So we lost 1 pottery, 2 potteries. So we can now comply with the first request from Pharaoh. So we're going to send that out straight away, which is good. So we lost a few of our potteries there. So employees needed, that's fine. So, definitely wasted a bit of money in this mission, which is not great. So what we're going to do is have... No, that's not going to work. We had 4 down before, didn't we? So, we must have it down further. There. There, and I'm not sure how we had that. There, it must have been. So that must be fine like that. So we should have some pottery start coming in soon, which is good. Definitely got enough food, so we should jump into here, have a look at our overseer of the granaries. We produce or import enough food for about 21-28 people, so that is definitely enough food, which is good. So we're starting to get some copper in. So what we're actually going to do now is, I think we will extend a row down here and put down 2 weaponsmiths. So, weaponsmiths. The way military works, for anyone sort of watching the game to start with, just before we get into that, so we've had our Kingdom Standing Climb, because we've met the first request, which is good. So, the way that military works in Pharaoh is, it is quite simplistic. As long as you don't expect any total war type battles, you should be fine. So, you have weaponsmiths that produce weapons, you have a recruiter, you can only have 1 per city, and they train your troops, and then you put down forts. So we've got infantry and archers in this game. We can get chariots later on. Archers, actually, all they need is a recruiter, because they provide their own weapons, so they'll sort of just be trained at the recruiter and go straight over to the fort. But infantry actually need weapons. So what happens is weaponsmiths produce weapons, send it to the recruiter, and then they train the infantry and send them off to the fort. So we'll build up a little bit of supply of weapons, then put down our recruiter and our forts and get that up and running quite early, which is good. So some of our houses are starting to develop quite nicely here, which is good. I'm going to put down a few little more plazas, which is fine. Everything's going quite well. So what we need now is beer. So what we're going to do is jump into here, and no, we're not. We're going to set up our trade route first. So we're going to set up a trade route with Thinnus, given that they sell us beer and they'll also buy copper from us. So that is going to be a good trade route for us. So I'm going to jump into here, set up an import of beer. We're just going to go to maintain 400. We're actually going to come down to copper and export when over 800. So 800 is going to give us enough to meet sort of most of the requests that we get from Pharaoh. So we've had another one come in here, and that is for 400 copper, and we're going to send that out straight away. So if we come in here and have a look at our ratings, our kingdom rating is 53 and it needs to be 70. So the way we're going to raise that is to meet requests. We can also give gifts to Egypt. So to do that, we actually need a personal mansion. So I think we're actually going to set up our personal mansion over here. So this first time we've used it, so basically what a personal mansion does is that it gives you a salary, and you can then use that salary to give some money to the city, or generally you use it to give gifts to Pharaoh and increase your kingdom rating. You can actually set your own salary, so it says you're currently free to set your own salary. I'm not quite sure, so we actually have like ranks. So if we come into our political overseer, we've actually got a royal scholar, so that's our rank at the moment. So we can actually give ourselves a salary above that, but I'm not sure if there are any negative drawbacks. So sort of you guys are a little bit more experienced than me. Can you let me know if there is any drawbacks to having a higher salary than your current rank? I'm guessing it may be something like a negative kingdom rating, perhaps, but I'm not quite sure there. So we're getting a few weapons here, weaponsmiths set up, all our mines are going really well, our gold getting quite a bit of money in, which is good. Our houses are set up here, so what we're going to do is set up a courthouse, get rid of a couple of these gardens here, and we're going to set up a courthouse right there. Now have 1,000 people in our city, which is good, so we're halfway to our population mark. And we're still producing some pottery and lots of food. Entertainment set up. We're going to put down our tax collector, I think, here. I'm going to put down a few shrines as well, just to keep Seth happy for the moment. Some of our houses are upgrading with our beer, and then also our courthouse will upgrade them. And I think once we get to that level, we're going to be at the level where we need a scribal school. So yes, we are. So given that we can't produce any papyrus and we can't currently buy it, this is the limit of our housing at the moment. So we're up to 1100 population, which is fine. What's our unemployment looking like? So we've got a little bit of high unemployment. So what we're going to do is come over here and set up a bunch of gemstone mines, and it'd be good to get that up and running anyway. We're probably going to start getting some requests quite soon. So we're going to set up heat. So we've got 5,000 debt, which is not really too much of a problem at the moment. So that's fine, because we do have gold mines, and also, so we're just going to set up a couple of houses there. We do have gold mines and also starting to sell copper, so that's not really a problem. We're going to set up a storage yard here, and this is going to have nothing but gemstones. So we're going to basically fill this up with gemstones. So these will start once these immigrants come in and fill those houses. So it looks like most of our housing has developed. We're just missing a few gardens. I'm going to put those in there. Just adding some gardens in this area. Just make sure everything's looking nice. So, doing quite well. Everything's looking good. Lots of food, lots of pottery, lots of weapons. What we're actually going to do now, we've got some more money. So we're actually going to set up our recruiter now. So we only have one of those per city. Now we're going to set up our forts as well. So I think what we may do is, so forts have a huge impact on desirability. So you don't want to put them anywhere near your your main housing area. But given that we don't really care about these houses, I think we're actually going to put them straight in the middle of our area over here. We're probably not going to want to expand any of this too much. We probably maybe a few more weaponsmiths, but I think we're just going to do this nice and central. So that was our infantry, and we're going to put down some that'll do, some archers there. So back in debt, but that won't last for long. So like I mentioned, our recruiter, we will get some weapons and send out trained troops to our infantry, like we've got our first one there, and our archer. So the way that these things work, if you're new to the game, you sort of basically move your little troops around and they fight and things like that. And whether you win or lose is usually to do with numbers and experience. So it's not too strategic or anything like that, but it sort of does add a little bit of extra interest to the game, and especially sort of around industry, making sure you can supply your forts properly. So we had a request just before for 1,500 gemstones. We've got 1,200 already, so that's not going to be a problem at all. We're also going to come in, actually after this request has been completed, we'll go in and set up an export for gems, so that'll be some more money. And it's good that we set up our forts because we've got our first invasion. So to satisfy their lust for riches, a Bedouin army is well on its way and will reach the city in 1 year. So we should have basically both of our forts set up to full strength at that stage, so that'll be fine. And everything's going along quite well. So the houses are definitely limited to this level, and they're all upgraded, which is good, so we're getting good coverage. We have compliance for gemstones, we'll send that out. We've also got a request for 885 Devon, which will be fine. So we'll send out both of those now, which is good. And we're also now going to set up and can't export gems actually, so I think there was somewhere here that we could do. Not yet, so actually I think that's probably going to open up later on. So that's okay for now. We'll just put up lots of gems, then we can sell them off later. I'm almost tempted to actually set up our second housing block, but I only put down a few houses to sort of deal with the unemployment problem. Set up all the infrastructure, and then we can slowly fill in the housing later on. So I think we're going to do that. So what we're going to do is set it up about here. So we're going to have 44 across and down like that. We're going to hook it up to here. So we're going to actually leave this open for now. We're just going to put down a row of houses there, which will sort of provide access, or access to our population for our services we're going to set up. So we've had a kingdom rating increase, and we've actually now got a new trade route available. So we can now trade with Men-Nefer, which is good. So Men-Nefer sells chickpeas, pottery, and papyrus, so we can upgrade our houses now, which is good. They buy weapons and gemstones from us, which is fantastic. So we're going to set up exportable weapons over 5, and we're going to set up gems exportable over probably 700 should be fine. We're also going to start importing some papyrus. So we're going to go to 400. So what we're going to do here is go half the yard of pottery, a quarter of beer, and a quarter of papyrus. That should be more than enough to start with. Going to set up a firehouse, architect's post, police station, and an apothecary. Also going to set up our bazaar and our physician right there. Set up a temple and tax collector, and that should be going quite well for now. Also going to set up, so that'll be 1, 2, so that's good. Also going to set up a bandstand over here. And then we can put some entertainment things down over here, like so. And a conservatory there. So what we're going to do now is actually put down a dance school as well. So it'll be a little bit more population. So we're down to 0% unemployment, which is great. So once these houses upgrade, which I need to put down a scribal school. So, what I think we're going to do is... just thinking. May actually move our roadblock just out to here. Get rid of that one, and we should be able to fit a Scrabble school in there like that. So that should be good for now. So, we've got a gift from Pharaoh. He's going to give us 1,600 chickpeas, which is good. So we're actually going to accept that, and it's filled up our granary here. So we've got a couple of sources of food, which is good. Going to put down some gardens in this area there, and set up here and here as well. So it's quite good. So we're up to 1,400 population. I think going along quite well for now, which is nice. So some of our houses are starting to upgrade here now that they've got access to a Scrabble school, which is great. So we're now up to common residence. So we're basically waiting for the desirability. I think they need access to a second food source, perhaps, to upgrade to the next level, but we'll see how that goes. What we're actually going to do is put down a little bit more beautification. So you put down a medium statue there. And we may actually replace over here. I actually put down a large statue over here. Actually, no, a medium statue. Medium statue over there. So everything's going quite well, which is nice. Our forts are coming up. We've got lots of copper, lots of weapons. Unemployment's only at 6%, which is good. We're up to 1480 population, which is nice. We're going to put down another conservatory, actually a dance school, sorry, over here. So just there, extend the road out a little bit. Going to put down another temple. So the army is almost here, that's fine, we're ready for them. Going to put down a couple of temples just to keep the god happy, keep Seth happy, and also to soak up a little bit of unemployment, which is fine. So lots of pottery, lots of papyrus, doing quite well. So we've got a little bit of an issue here with a house that is not upgrading due to desirability. I suspect that's because I haven't set up my inner block there well enough with enough gardens. So that's something I have to keep an eye on. Actually sort of just demolish that and replace it with a garden or something like that. But we've got our Bedouin army has attacked. So it's a little bit hard to see, but I know they're actually over here. So if you switch the view around, we can actually see them there. So what we're going to do is just send over our infantry and our archers behind them. And this should be quite an easy fight. So we're actually going to leave them there. They'll come over and attack us. Our infantry will attack them like that. And all good. So that was our first victory. So like I did mention, that was quite a military game in Pharaoh. Is quite simplistic, so don't worry too much about that. We've got another army coming in 6 months. We may actually start upgrading this area with some housing. So I think this is probably going to be enough to get us over the 2,000 mark. With any luck, it will be anyway. So they need access to a courthouse, so what we're going to do is put down a courthouse right there. We won't be able to put down a roadblock. I don't think we really need a roadblock. It's probably not going to cause us too many problems, hopefully. I may just actually have a look at the risks. So no, it's doing okay at the moment. I may just actually throw down another couple of a firehouse and an architect's post just here. So this will do the double benefit of soaking up a little bit of unemployment and also just making sure that we have no problems because we don't have any roadblocks over here. So some of our walkers will actually sort of wander out into this area, but if we've got another couple over here, that all should be fine. So the Bedouin army is coming, getting more population, up to 1720, so we're almost there. We are rolling in money. So we're coming here and have a look at our victory conditions. We've got prosperity of 36, which is heaps. Kingdom rating is 59, so that needs to come up a little bit. Can we give a gift to Pharaoh yet? We've got 135 Deben. can we send a gift? We'll send a generous gift of a troop of performing slaves. So we'll dispatch that. Hopefully that raises our kingdom rating a little bit. So 2 forts in this mission should be more than enough. So that should be fine for now. Later on in missions, you'll actually get requests to send your troops off to wars in other areas. So what will happen is you will have your forts here, you send a request off, and then they'll actually sort of leave the map, and then they'll come back and they could be sort of depleted or even get destroyed. So you sort of need to have extra forts to cover events like that. So forts to cover your own city's defense and also send off to fight in wars. So we're nearly at the 2,000 population mark. Unemployment is quite high, so going to need to do something about that. What can I do to put down? What can I do? I may just put down a few more weaponsmiths up here. Not that we really need them, but it'll be good sort of unemployment. We've got a fair bit of entertainment. I may just put down another, say, physician over here. And one there. Put down a shrine. So I've had a request for 1500 copper. So we're going to have to come in and modify our levels here. So export went over 1500. And that should build up. And then we can, what we're also going to do actually, is turn off weapon production so they don't use all of our copper until that builds up, and then we can turn it back on again. So we've come over the 2,000 population mark, which is great. So I'm going to put a temple down over here. So the head of an army will reach us in a month's time. So we definitely are sort of just looking to develop some population. So it is a little bit hard in these early missions when you don't sort of have the full range of industries, so you're sort of a little bit limited to what you can do. So what I might actually do, just for the fun of it, is put down some weavers. We've had an army attack, so we're going to send our troops out. And that should be fine. Cool, so that's another invasion defeated. So what I'm going to do is put down some weavers, just for the hell of it really. So put down a bunch of those, that should soak up some unemployment. There you go, so we're going to put down a storage yard here. So we're going to set up half linen and half flax. So we're going to set up a trade route to import some flax, so we can do that from Nechen, and we'll set that up there. So import some flax. We'll just probably import, say, 500, and then we'll create some linen, but basically we're sort of just doing it to soak up unemployment so we don't kind of come into any prosperity issues or immigration issues or anything like that. So if your unemployment does get too high, you'll actually have people leave your city. So you actually have immigrants rather than immigrants. They'll leave looking for jobs in other areas. So that's why it's quite good to have your employment used up as much as possible. I'm going to put down a police station over here and here, and another one there, a little bit more. So we've got compliance now, we can send that out. So we're actually going to come back in here, set up our exporting to 800 and turn back on our weapons industry. So that's good. So we've got our gems are stock full up, so to soak up a little bit more unemployment as well, we're going to, oops, I'm going to move that. So we're going to put down a storage yard here and just have all gems. So that'll be another area there. Maybe just put down a police station over here. And so people are indifferent to me. I suspect that because of high unemployment. So we'll sort of keep doing something about that. We're up to 2196 population, which is quite good. And all of our housing is doing quite well. Everything's going quite well. We could actually, so something, a strategy that you can actually do is you can actually limit what your bazaars buy. So you can actually turn them off. So you say don't buy certain things. So we could actually say don't buy beer, so we'll actually sort of devolve these houses to control our unemployment, but I don't think it's really worth doing that at the moment. We're better off just trying to put down some sort of extra industries and things like that. So what we may actually do as well now is extend this road up here and put down just a couple more granaries. We don't really need them, but like I said, it's just all about keeping everybody happy. And put down another firehouse, architect's post, and should be set. So our kingdom rating is now 67, so we're pretty much quite close now. We're over the population, we're up to prosperity, so as soon as that ticks over, the mission will finish. So, this mission has gone pretty well, no major problems apart from a few buildings burning down, which is definitely something I'll have to look at next time. Maybe stagger my housing a little bit better, a little bit slower perhaps. A Bedouin army will be here in 6 months, but hopefully we're finished by then. And everything's going quite well. So 2230 population, so we've got heaps. We've got an absolute stack load of money, 10,000 in Devon. Unemployment's down to 13, which is a pretty decent rating considering that we have quite limited industrial ventures at the moment. So that's all looking good. So what we're actually going to do is just bump up the speed to 100, sort of run through to the end. Hopefully get a request quite soon and we can finish that kingdom rating and move on to the next mission. So I think the next mission is actually sort of the last of the Archaic campaign, or maybe there's 5 per dynasty or dynastic period, I'm not quite sure, but we will see how that goes. I'm just going to bump this back down to 90 given that there's an army coming, so we don't want to sort of them to rush in too quickly. So we've got a fire over here. I have no idea why that's happened because we've got a firehouse right next to it. Right, so they're over there, so we have to send out our troops pretty quickly. We may actually lose some of this, but hopefully not too much. So what I'm actually going to do, I have no idea what happened. It should have definitely been covered quite easily, so we're going to send that out. So our archers actually may lose this one, so we're actually going to send them back. Leave it to our infantry, who can mop up quite quickly. So there we go. So we only lost 1 troop, so he's quite good there. So we lost our personal mansion, which is a bit of a bummer. But we'll bump up the speed to 100 again. And replace it. There we go. Yeah, it's like I mentioned, there's actually a firehouse here, so they should have sort of split their time halfway between going left and going right, so I'm not quite sure why that happened, but anyway, won't stress about that too much. Unemployment 16, which is okay for now, I guess. Everything's going quite well, so we've got a request. So this will be the final request of the game. And once that gets there, we should have victory. So, I hope you guys have enjoyed this mission and you've learned some things. You've learned not how to burn down all your buildings, which is always a good lesson to have. So these housing blocks have worked quite well, actually, I think. We do have sort of a little bit of issue of a few houses in here not upgrading due to desirability. So we may have to put a little bit more gardens through this central area, which we will deal with next time. But, so I think they're working out quite well. So, there we go, victory. Victory in the 3rd mission of the Archaic campaign. So, I hope you guys enjoyed that, like I said, and that you learned some things, and that you enjoyed watching the video. We'll move on to the next mission soon, and I hope to have that up in a day or 2. So, until then, I'll see you all soon.